Alright guys, what's going on? UFC 307 has just taken place and we're going to go through the highlights and the lowlights of this full fight card. It was a bit of an emotional roller coaster, to say the least. I have got a love-hate relationship with some of these fight cards, especially since I've been live streaming them. Having to stay up till 7 AM to watch some lackluster performances, awful decisions, unfortunate mishaps. It's got me questioning, is it even worth it? And I initially thought this card was fairly okay. I give it a 6 out of 10, but after sleeping on it for 2 hours, I'm looking upon this card a lot less fondly. Before we get to the main event, let's just talk about the card in general. So I missed the first 3 fights. So Court McGee beat Tim Means in the first round. Carla Esparza lost a decision win. I've seen some people say that the win could have went to Esparza. I don't know, I didn't see the fight. But once again, another unanimous decision for the female division. We had Ryan Spann submitting Ovince Peru. What the hell? That's a crazy turn of events. I don't think anyone would have seen that coming. If anyone was going to submit anyone, it would have been OSP submitting Ryan Spann, so pretty crazy. So that was the first bit of excitement for the night. When I heard about this fight happening, I was like, oh damn, we might be in for a good night here. And then we went into the Cesar Almeida fight. I predicted Cesar Almeida to win. He did by unanimous decision. Okay, moving on. Austin Hubbard versus Alexander Hernandez. This was an example of a fight where both of them are pretty decent fighters, but neither of them had any energy to get a finish. It was probably the elevation, but you could see that they both didn't have any power in the hands. To be fair, it was just an okay fight. You could say a little bit lackluster because they were throwing shots and stuff was landing, but nothing was really landing clean. And then in the last 10 seconds, they had a bit of a Max Holloway, Justin Gaethje moment where they threw down, but once again, no one really got caught. Then this is where the bad judging began. We had Marina Rodriguez versus Iasmin Lucindo. Somehow, Lucindo got the split decision victory. I give this fight to Marina Rodriguez. I thought she was a lot more active. She was landing more shots. Anyway, moving on, we had Stephen Thompson versus Joaquin Buckley. I predicted Joaquin Buckley to win. Early on in the fight, I thought Stephen Thompson was looking pretty decent. He was looking like vintage Wonderboy. He had that side-on stance. He was catching Joaquin with the straight right or the straight left. Wonderboy looked good, and his takedown defense was on point. This fight happened pretty much how I said it was going to happen, except I predicted Joaquin Buckley to get the decision victory. I was kind of banking on Wonderboy's chin to hold up and his experience and to potentially not get caught, but unfortunately he got caught in the 3rd round and it was pretty brutal. Everyone's saying Wonderboy should retire. I'm not really angry at that opinion. I think that he should go to karate combat because I think he'll smash it there. That little niche sport and that niche competition is made for Wonderboy. So go to karate combat, clean up everyone there, because although Stephen Wonderboy is 41 years old, he still looks very good. He just got out-wrestled, and the wrestling opened up the striking for Joaquin Buckley. So good job to Joaquin Buckley there. Then we're moving up. We had Ketlen Vieira versus Kayla Harrison. Kayla Harrison got the unanimous decision victory. She looked okay, a little bit clunky on the feet, but as soon as she's able to close that distance and get a hold of you, the fight's pretty much hers. Then we had Roman Dolidze versus Kevin Holland. This fight was a little bit of a bummer because it was looking like it was going to be a really good fight. Kevin Holland looked focused. He looked sharp. He was switched on. You could tell in his eyes. Dolidze looked good. He looked lean but thick at the same time. And they got into a bit of a grappling exchange, and Kevin was kind of on his neck with his ass up in the air, and then his hips twisted one way and his shoulders twisted the other way, just in the middle of a scramble, and he went and winced. And I even said when we were on our live stream, oh, something's happened to Kevin there. And it was just one of those unfortunate events. Bit of an accident, just rib popped, unfortunate. So once again, that kind of brought the energy of the card down. And then we had Aldo versus Mario Bautista. What a BS decision this was. Now, when I watched the fight, I thought Aldo's got that, because Bautista is just stalling Aldo up against the fence. And we had a few people in the chat saying, oh, you're a casual. Why are you getting angry that there's wrestling in mixed martial arts? And there's that little phrase going around. Now, fans, when mixed martial artists mix the martial arts, look, if you're one of those who says that, get this through your thick skull. It's not that we are anti-wrestling. It's not that we are anti-grappling. We are anti-stalling to win the fight. Do you not get that? There's a difference between offensive wrestling, where you're trying to get a finish, you're trying to change positions, you're trying to lock up a submission, you are somewhat aggressive and threatening with your takedowns. These new wave of stallers like this Mario Bautista, like Merab Dvalishvili, they don't want to finish the fight. At the end of the day, Mario Bautista was getting pieced up on the feet. He got outstruck by Jose Aldo the entire fight. 0 successful takedowns. He attempted 2 takedowns in the first round, 4 in the second, and then 4 in the third. Scored 0 takedowns. And even in that third, it might have been Mark Goddard or Mike Beltran who split them up. Anyway, the ref split them up. Mario Bautista stepped back and instantly went back in on Jose Aldo's hips. And as I say, he literally was just like this, holding his hips, and then every now and then Mario Bautista would throw a knee to the thigh, but just holding onto someone and throwing knees to the thigh, it makes you look busy when you're really not. I can't remember what fight I had the other week. I was talking about this exact same thing where someone got a takedown and then was holding them down and then going like this. It might have been one of the female fights, and at one point she was going like this on the girl's ribs, and it looked like she was tapping. But once again, it's just to create an illusion that you're looking busy. Mario Bautista has just laid down the template right there of how to lose fans or make sure that you never gain any fans again. And then he had the nerve in the post-fight interview, after pretty much getting beaten by Jose Aldo and getting this BS decision, to say, I was threatening the takedown. It's not my fault he couldn't get me off him. I was like, oh, you little rat. And in all fairness, I was quite critical of Jose Aldo during the fight because he does have a tendency to, when fighters do that to him, Merab Dvalishvili, now Mario Bautista, he leans up against the cage and rolls his eyes a bit. Within the first takedown attempt of Mario Bautista, when he held Jose Aldo for 30 seconds, Jose did it straight away. He just went, rolled his eyes. Rather than rolling your eyes, Jose, try and create a little bit of a scramble, push him off. Jose never gets taken down. His takedown defense is incredible, so he needs to have a little bit more offensive defense, if you like. So absolute BS decision right there. Mario Bautista is not mixing the martial arts. He's stalling. He's not trying to get a finish. He's just trying to hold Jose Aldo up against the cage because he's getting battered on the feet. And then he gets a win. That should not count as a win, especially when you got outstruck. Jose Aldo definitely got rounds 2 and 3. So absolute BS decision. Jose Aldo's stock doesn't really go down. But stop giving Jose these BS wrestlers. Start punishing these wrestlers. Hope Dana White never gives fighters like these a bonus, and it will de-incentivize this style of fighting. Next, we had Raquel Pennington versus Julianna Pena. Oh man, the girls' fights. Once again, another lackluster female fight. To be fair, it was okay. It was okay. They threw down a bit at the end, but I thought Pennington won the fight, to be honest. I honestly thought Pennington did enough to win the fight, especially considering in round 2, she rocked Julianna Pena with the head kick and then dropped Julianna Pena. And then unfortunately did enough in round 5 and round 1. So really, I scored it rounds 1, 2, and 5 to Pennington. From what I can remember anyway. I might be wrong on that, but I thought Pennington got it, but the judges went split decision to Julianna Pena. I'm not too mad at it, to be honest. I don't really care. And in all honesty, guys, I believe if they got rid of female MMA completely from the UFC, I think it would have zero negative impact on the sport whatsoever. I think pay-per-view sales would continue as they are, if not maybe get better, and you wouldn't have these big dips in the card with regards to the energy, because you know if there's a female MMA fight about to come on, we're going to get either a unanimous decision or a split decision. There's going to be a lot of rolling rounds. There's going to be no damage dealt. There's going to be no power in any of the shots. Often there's horrible, sloppy technique, especially within the striking. It's rare that you see a good female striker. And then even with regards to the wrestling, they don't have any power. Of course they don't, because the women and the ones who do have that power are a little bit built more like men, or they're on the gear, like Kayla Harrison, like Amanda Nunes, you know, a bit more masculine. But honestly, female MMA, get rid of it. A bit of a BS decision, but I don't really care. You can disagree with me, I'm not asked. Next, we had Alex Pereira versus Khalil Rountree. Thank the Lord, thank the MMA gods for this fight. This fight did not disappoint. Now, I predicted a first round finish. I think the majority of people predicted a first round finish. A lot of people underestimated Khalil Rountree Jr. And I will take this opportunity to give myself a little bit of props here. I got a little bit of heat this week when I said I believe Khalil Rountree will be one of Alex Pereira's toughest opponents. And people were like, you're such a casual. Should have seen people in the comments. What are you on about? Khalil Rountree after one fight over Anthony Smith? Oh, you don't know what you're talking about. Well, there we go. Proof's in the pudding. I knew that Khalil Rountree could be a bit of a problem for Alex Pereira because of his Muay Thai background. He's out there in Thailand training with the best Muay Thai practitioners. The guy doesn't wrestle. He's comfortable on the feet. He's a bit of a wild card. I was saying all week, he's got that X factor. Okay, he swings a bit crazy, but he didn't in this fight. He was a lot more controlled and composed. Okay, he was still blitzing quite heavily, which is why I believe he gassed out, but he showed massive improvements in this fight and had success early on in the fight. First 2 rounds, Khalil got. Alex Pereira was off to a bit more of a slow start, and I'll be honest, guys, you can go and watch me live stream. It's still up on the channel. I was a bit worried for Pereira in those first 2 rounds. It was scary. You seen the way Pereira holds his hands right down here. As Khalil was blitzing in, especially with the right hook, he was throwing that right hook over Alex Pereira's guard, and Pereira was just going like this, leaning back and backing up, and Khalil was catching him a few times. And then in the second round, Alex Pereira, he was throwing a bit too many head kicks, to be fair. I said it on the live stream, stop throwing the head kick, and he threw a question mark kick, and it went over Khalil Rountree's shoulder, and as it came down on the other side, Khalil just went wha-bang, big right hook, caught him with the forearm and slumped Pereira. He didn't fall onto his ass, he didn't get knocked down, he just slumped a bit and then came straight back up. So whatever, you want to count that as a knockdown, doesn't matter. Alex Pereira was still with it. His chin is so much better at light heavyweight as well. It goes to show he can take a punch. Still gets rocked a bit though. We've seen him kind of stumble a little bit against Yuri Paska. We've seen him get slumped a bit there. So he's not completely invincible, but he's shown that his ability to take a punch and take a shot at light heavyweight is so much better than it was at middleweight. He took a hard head kick, I think it was a left high kick off Khalil, and leaned into it as well. Pereira slipped the left hand and went right into the kick, ate it like it was nothing. But you could see in between the first and second rounds, Khalil was a little bit visibly fatigued. He had his arms on the cage like this, and that's usually a sign that someone's feeling it. He wouldn't sit down on the stool. Pereira looked composed and fresh. So Khalil came out in the third, had a little bit of a blitz, looked good, but then quickly faded. Pereira just started eating away at Khalil's lead leg with the low kicks. Pereira's jab was exquisite in this fight, and it was in the third round that Pereira, he did like an offbeat jab. He was circling to his left, and he has his lead hand like this, almost like a cobra, waiting to strike. And then when you think it's going to strike, it doesn't. And then when you think he's not going to strike, he does. He kind of, boom, and caught Khalil with a nice strong jab. And Khalil went back a bit and stumbled. And then from there, Pereira just started picking Khalil apart. And at the end of the third round, Pereira ended with some nice shots. Ended up in the clinch, couple big knees to Khalil. And Khalil's nose started opening up, and it was just the beginning of the end. And then going into the fourth, it was the same story. Khalil had a little bit of a moment at the start, but then it was pretty much 2-3 minutes of solid destruction by Alex Pereira. Big, massive props to Khalil Rountree, because the damage that he took in that fourth round and was able to stay on his feet, he's got such a chin. He took all of Pereira's best shots for the better part of 2 to 3 minutes and was still standing and was still trying to throw punches back. Khalil Rountree is a gangster, does not lose any stock despite the fact that he got finished brutally in that fourth round. And in that fourth round, Pereira just started entering his flow state, and we were getting so hype on the live stream because, as I say, at the start of the fight, we didn't really see any of that head movement. Then as he smelled blood, he just closed in on Khalil Rountree, and he was baiting shots out of Khalil so then he could slip, throw the uppercut, slip, throw the left hook, throw the jab, slip, bomb, bomb. He just got into that kickboxing flow state that we see him do in sparring footage that he puts out. He did a video the other day talking about Pereira, saying he's looking really good with his boxing, and there was some people in the comments saying that Pereira's got horrible defense and his boxing is awful and he's going to get exposed in this fight. Where are you now? Pereira looked the best he's ever looked, and although I predicted and was hoping for a first round knockout, I'm kind of glad that it went 4 rounds now, because we've seen Pereira fight through that adversity. We've seen Pereira get tested. Pereira's proven that he's a really good champion, but obviously you're going to have people now say he needs to fight a wrestler. Yeah, well, don't worry. His next fight is most likely going to be Ankalaev, so we'll see what Ankalaev can do against Pereira. Maybe Ankalaev can get the job done with the wrestling if he mixes it up. We'll see, won't we? And a little extra thing as well, Jamahal Hill was in the crowd. Stupid Jamahal Hill, and he was seen yawning after Alex Pereira's finish.
Jamahal Hill was seen yawning after the fight. Looks like he's implying that the fight was boring. I'm just curious if you can respond to that.
Pior que mesmo, acho que ele acabou de acordar do 300.
Yeah, maybe he just woke up from UFC 300.
What a comeback. Jamahal Hill is not in a place to be criticising anyone's performance. Jamahal got KO'd in the first round against Pereira, and he's just watched Khalil Rountree go 4 rounds with Pereira and give Pereira a bit of a tough fight. So sit down, Jamahal. Focus on getting another fight. Win, and then you can talk some crap. But that was an absolutely incredible main event. The rest of the card, though, was pretty poo. Imagine if that Raquel Pennington fight was the main event. It would have been like a 3 out of 10 fight card. We need to fix this judging. No more stalling against the cage. Judges need to follow their own criteria, which is damage trumps all. Anyway, I'm not going to go on another big rant. We got Bivol versus Beterbiev this Saturday, and it's in Saudi Arabia, so it's going to be on a little bit earlier as well. We're going to go live for it here on this channel. I can't wait for that fight. That's going to be sick. It's going to be a proper boxing masterclass, so make sure you tune in. Let's get back to it. I'll see you for tomorrow's video. Bye-bye.